I'm continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit as I move along. Right now I am still in the Book of Numbers. This is chapter 21. Israel destroys those Canaanites who fight against her. She is plagued with fiery serpents. Moses lifts up a serpent of brass to save those who look thereon. Israel defeats Amorites and destroys people of Bashan and occupies their lands. Okay. Now remember, they were refused passage through Edom. So they came over, they wanted to come up through Edom. Edom wouldn't let them, so they had to circle around. They did go around Edom. Okay. And when King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoner. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, If thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. Let us pause for just a moment there. So we have Arad the Canaanite. Interesting. So when he learns about the spies, well, he learns what Israel's going through, and he gets a little worried, and he sends out his armies, and they kind of do a little raiding. It wasn't an all-out battle. It was just a little raid. They took a few Israelites prisoner. And then Israel made a covenant with God that if God would deliver the people, that they would destroy the Canaanites completely. Just looking at a map here. Sorry for the distraction. And they did. They wiped them out. But now, verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against God and against Moses, Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. So, first of all, the term fiery serpents, this is talking about poisonous serpents, because the sensation of the poison in the blood makes you feel like you're on fire. And it's the same old complaint. Israel has no originality in it. Why are we out here? We're suffering in the wilderness. Why didn't we stay in Egypt? And this time, though, they are complaining and rejecting the manna that God gave them. Sorry, I got a few minor problems here with my physical scriptures. But this time they are actively complaining about the miracle that God has already given them. That's what they mean by the light bread. That is the manna. And so this time God says, well, you don't like the manna? See what you think of this. And he sends in the serpents. As I said, Israel doesn't seem to have any real originality, and their complaints are always the same. It's just, they never seem to stop complaining. So Sorry, I'm looking at a number of things here, so yeah. Anyways, I was just trying to get a lay of the land here for the map. I think I'll do a separate video about the map and the travels of Israel. So let us stop getting distracted by that. So, verse 7. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Now, it doesn't say that Moses paraded the serpent around the camp, and all they had to do was open their tent door and look out. No. It was most likely planted or set up at the tabernacle at the center of the camp. And if you were bitten, either you had to go yourself or you had to get somebody to carry you to the tabernacle so you could look at the serpent. And just by looking, you were healed. This is a great symbol of Christ being lifted up on the cross. And if we turn to him, if we seek him, then we are healed. But verse 10. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth. And they journeyed from Oboth and pitched in Abarim in the wilderness which is before Moab, toward the sun rising. Yeah, we're going to get into some travels here, but again, just go back to I thought we were going to have a little bit more about the brass serpent, but it doesn't say how many people died from the serpents, which is kind of on all the other judgments of God. We actually get kind of a tally of how many people are dying. But it does indicate that some people did not show forth the faith and go and look at the serpent. It was too easy of a task. So apparently, from the way it's put, some people refused and died because they would not go and do what God told them to do. They would not look to Christ. But now let us read some more about the wanderings. Verse 12. From thence they removed and pitched in the valley of Zered. From thence they removed and pitched on the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that cometh out of the coasts of the Amorites. For Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord that he did what he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Arnon, and at the stream of the brooks that goeth down to the dwelling of Ar, and lieth upon the border of Moab. And from thence they went to Beer. That is the well whereof the Lord spake unto Moses, Gather the people together, and I will give them water. So we're getting these travels here. And as I said, I'll do another separate video about the map and how they traveled and everything. But this book of the wars of the Lord, that's a book we don't have. Now, we have some indications of the wars of the Lord, and we'll get some account of it. But that particular book, we don't have a copy of it. Because I wouldn't even say that that is in the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher is mentioned later on in the Bible as a separate book. So this is another evidence of books of Scripture that we no longer have today. But that would be an interesting book to read, a detailed account of the wars of the Lord. Verse 17. Before I continue, I want to say that last verse here. In verse 16, went to Beer, that is the well whereof the Lord spake unto Moses, Gather the people together, and I will give them water. Third time, that God is providing water miraculously, but in this case, we don't get the details. We're just told that it happened. Verse 17. Then Israel sang the song, Spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. The princes digged the well, the nobles of the people digged it, by the direction of the lawgiver with their staves. And from the wilderness they went to Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth in the valley that is in the country of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looketh toward Jeshimon. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, Let us pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well, but we will go along by the king's highway, until we be past thy borders. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his border. But Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel into the wilderness, and he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. Now notice they're making the same request of Sihon and the Amorites that they did of Edom. And Edom said, no, you're not coming in. And they marched their armies down and kind of formed a border. So this is the border of our land. You're not allowed in. And Israel just went around. No fighting took place. In this case, they ask, can we pass through? And Sihon and his people say no. But instead of just kind of forming a border to prevent Israel from coming in, they went and directly attacked. They went to destroy Israel. So, verse 24. And Israel smote him with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from Arnon unto Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all the villages thereof. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnon. Wherefore they that speak in Proverbs say, Come into Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and prepared. For there is a fire gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It hath consumed Ar of Moab, and the lords of the high places of Arnon. Woe to thee, Moab, thou art undone, O people of Chemosh. He hath given his sons that escaped, and his daughters into captivity unto Sihon, king of the Amorites. We have shot at them. Heshbon is perished, even unto Dibon. And we have laid them waste, even unto Nophah, which reacheth unto Medeba. Thus Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and Moses sent to spy out Jazer. And they took the villages thereof, and drove out the Amorites that were there. Okay, just quick thing here. The Amorites come out and attack Israel, and Israel totally decimates them and takes their cities. They conquer their land. But you note that the land they conquer used to belong to Moab, but was conquered by the Amorites. The Amorites were a powerful people. Now, they didn't conquer all of Moab, but they took some of their land. And this is the proverb that they are talking about here, that Moab surrendered to the Amorites, that their children were enslaved by the Amorites. That's what this is talking about. It's not about Israel. This is about that was about Moab. But then we had to go out and attack more of the Amorites. So the Amorites, again, Sihon was not the only king among the Amorites. The Amorites were not a completely unified people. And so, or maybe they were, and this is just two different phases of the conquering. But anyways, let's quickly finish this. Verse 33. And they turned and went up by the way of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to the battle of Edrei. And the Lord said unto Moses, Fear him not, for I have delivered him into thy hand, and all his people, and his land, and thou shalt do to him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So they smote him, and his sons, and all his people, until there was none left him alive, and they possessed his land. Now we'll find out later on, Og was one of the giants, probably bigger than Goliath. And God's telling him, don't worry, I delivered him, go wipe him out. And so they do. They go out and they destroy them all. And this is the beginning of Israel's conquest of the land of Canaan. Although this is on the east side of Jordan, so this is the plains of Jordan area. Well, again, we'll talk about it in another video later, but this is the beginning of the conquest. So I'll see you in the next one.